Hello. Today I want to talk about something new, actually a new way to do HOAs. This is not recorded using standard Google Hangouts, and as much as I like to use them for the last X number of years, Google kind of dropped the ball lately and basically kind of let it sit there in the wind, and they're not really doing anything with it. So I decided to move on to something different, something that would be a little bit better. And so even though I still like the concept of Hangouts on air, I think there's a better way to do it. And today I'm going to share with you exactly what I mean. So I'm going to start this presentation. Just go ahead and start it up here. And yeah, I'm going to make myself small. You can still see me. Hello. And let's talk about the new way to HOA. So what do I mean by new way to HOA? In the past, HOAs allowed us to create a video that goes on YouTube. All we had to do was set up an event, indicate that it's going to be an HOA, and it would create the video automatically. We were able to invite a bunch of people that we wanted to invite, or it could be public. And it was fairly straightforward, fairly simple to do. And then, long story short, when the Google Plus people decided to divorce themselves from many different things, including Hangouts, the gentleman that started the whole thing left the company later on, and basically the whole Hangouts thing kind of fell apart. They used to have these wonderful Hangout apps that allowed you to do things like lower third and graphics overlays and a bunch of other useful apps. All of that went away, and essentially wound up being kind of a crippled platform with just the remnants of what it used to be before, with seemingly nobody supporting anymore. But in terms of using this particular environment, it was still very beneficial for single presenters of whatever information they're trying to present, like myself, for example. It was very useful to be able to have that kind of environment, but the tools were gone, and there was really no particular reason to stick with it, because one of the problems with Hangouts on air that was always there is you had to be perfect. And if you make a mistake, then it's a problem. You know, I couldn't do something like this, for example. I'm going to go ahead and pause here. Now I'm talking to you from a totally different perspective and a totally different approach, because I paused the recording and moved the camera. Okay? And we're back now at this point again. So that's something that could be easily done with a lot of programs, but you could not do this in Hangouts. There was no such thing as pausing and resuming recording. And so you had to do basically everything perfectly for whatever the duration of time you were doing it. You had to do it at specified date and time, because that's how it operated. And which was also another problem with scheduling and people not being able to attend. So there was definitely some issues with doing it for a single person. It was a lot easier to do with somebody else helping you do the technical stuff behind the scenes to make it go smoothly. But because all of this kind of semi went away, where all these problems that they had before were still there, plus they took away all the tools and everything, I thought there would be a better way to handle it, and that's why I'm presenting what I'm presenting. So the HOAs are outdated. Events right now are available. They brought them back to Google+, but they're totally bastardized. They're basically just like a bastardized version of the old events. What I mean by bastardized is that they were, you can see they have the same look as they used to have before, but they don't have the same functionality as they had before, in terms of being tightly integrated with Hangouts and also integrated with Google Plus posts, with photos of the main cover image and things. All of that stuff doesn't work like it used to. And so even though they're back, they're really, you can't even see them on the desktop version. So basically, they disconnected them. HOA apps are dead. Nobody's doing those anymore. You can't pause and regroup. You can't edit on the fly, like I was doing with pausing and then, kind of, I wouldn't call it editing on the fly, but being able to make changes. And of course, you can't edit after the fact either. If you're doing live HOA, a bunch of people are watching, You can't really, you can go back and try to download the video and edit it afterwards, but if you made mistakes and things like that, yeah, everybody's seen those. But right now, there's many other choices available too. Like, for example, Zoom is the one I'm using right now to record. And as you will see from some of the features here, it's a lot more capable in many ways. And also is tied into groups on Google accounts. And so it has many interoperability options with Google infrastructure, but at the same time, it has a bunch of other features that Hangouts don't have. And Google just isn't doing anything to improve Hangouts on air. I mean, they try to do a few things, but even to get to HOAs, you have to go through a bunch of steps and stuff. So Google really isn't doing anything. Maybe they're working on it, I don't know, but it's not really happening. So the better way to do it, in my opinion, is something I put together just for consideration. I'm going to be doing all of my Hangouts this way. So from now on, anything you see from me is going to be using this particular format. Obviously, if you want to do this or not, it's completely entirely up to you. I'm going to have my little coffee with ice cream drink and move on. So the new HOAs, I think, is a better solution. The reason I say that is because you will have the flexibility to use any tool you'd like, including Hangouts. So you can record your videos, your Hangout, if you will, using anything, including Hangouts, if you wish, no problem. You can record using this approach at any time, convenient for you, and record it if need be. In other words, the limitation that you had before, where you had to set up an event, and then that's the date and time when the actual HOA would take place, is removed from this approach. You can record anytime, whatever is convenient for you. For example, I'm recording this now. Even though you're watching me now, it's actually recording happened earlier. Okay, so you can record anytime. That means that if you can record anytime, that means you can also re-record and make it as perfect as you need it to be before you actually go live and present it to other people. Of course, you can also edit the video after the fact. Like in my case here, for example, I recorded a little bit more in the beginning than I wanted to, so I went into the editing program, just get rid of stuff I don't need. So all of this can be done because you're doing this ahead of time, okay? You can also make the video available to view to your audiences whenever you wish. So I have the flexibility, just like you always had, in terms of posting videos to, not HOAs necessarily, but videos to YouTube, that you can indicate that the video status will be private or unlisted or public. And so if the video is private or unlisted, that means nobody can see it until you give somebody a URL, or if it's private, nobody can see it, period, unless you change the status to public or to unlisted with giving people the URL so they can see it. So that's another benefit of this approach, is that you have control when you actually turn the video on for everybody or a certain group of people to see. Also, you're free to participate in the HOA, answer questions and comments, and engage with your viewers. In the past, whenever you did HOA, like I'm doing one right now, for example, I cannot be sitting here looking at people's comments. You know, people came up with the Hangout Toolbox, one of the apps that's no longer available, that used to show you on the screen, you know, what people are typing, comments, things like that. But even it was helpful at the same time for one person who's concentrating on the screen, on the camera, and talking to people and looking at them, to try to look somewhere else like this and then try to read something. It just doesn't look professional, it doesn't look very nice, and it distracts the person. When I try to read something on the side, it distracts me from continuing the conversation, talking to you, so it's nice and fluid and live, basically. So that's not a great approach. I mean, I'm looking down a little bit here too to read my presentation points, but the bottom line is it wasn't very convenient to be able to interact with your audience in real time. It just wasn't doable unless somebody else is helping you with the Hangout and they're doing the questions and answers and comments, things like that. But if you're doing your own content, you're the only person that knows what the answer should be or what should be typed in there. So the bottom line is there was no way to do it. You had to do like Q&A at the end potentially, or people had to be in the Hangout. But with actual live audience, a bunch of people out there, you had no way to be able to participate in real time. With this approach that I'm proposing, you can. In fact, that's one of the main reasons I want to do it the way I'm doing it, is not only to be able to create content in a better, more professional and more timely manner, but at the same time be able to participate in the actual, when the Hangout actually airs officially from the event date and time, then at that time the video is completely done. And so people essentially are looking at a recording, but the orchestrator of the video, or the host, if you will, can be available. And that's what I'm planning to do, is I'm going to be available at that time to just sit and look at the comment stream and then interact with people in real time, because I don't need to see the presentation or the video again. Obviously I recorded it, I know what it is, so I don't even need to pay attention or listen to it. But I can certainly watch that stream, and as people put in questions, as they listen to what is being said on the screen and they have questions to ask right then and there, I can respond to it immediately. So essentially, I record the whole thing ahead of time. That's the beauty of it. Then when people start watching it at designated date and time, by that time it's already done. All I have to do is simply show up to watch the comments and respond to them accordingly. So essentially, when people are watching it, I'm responding to everything in real time, like there's two of me. So I think it's a better approach than the way people used to do Hangouts. In terms of the audiences, audience also gets benefits. So these are the benefits I mentioned, are benefits for the host. The audience also gets benefits. What's going to happen is the audience gets invites as before. So they still get the invite that Oleg is inviting you to blah 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 on this date, that time. But you can set the date and time to be whenever you're going to be available to do these comments, to sit down and interact with your audience. Okay, you record ahead of time and you set up this date and time to be convenient for them, or convenient whenever you're going to be able to do it. But the beauty of this whole thing, the whole live concept of it, interacting with people, whatever you set it to be, remember the video is already done by that time. So when you're actually putting out the event and inviting people to come in and do it, since the video is already done, theoretically and practically, you can actually share the video with these people right there and then. We're still recording, right? Just kidding. You can do this right then and there, and you can open the video up, which is what I'm planning to do, to be available to watch immediately when they get that invitation. So let's say I do a recording on Friday, and I decided that I'm going to be airing it next Wednesday at 10 a.m., just because that's a convenient time for me to do this interactive part, and at the same time, that's a good time for a lot of people that watch my videos. That's a good time for them to participate, let's say. Okay? So with that being the case, I'm going to set it up, send out the event invite for Wednesday at 10 a.m., but the video is already done, and what I'm doing at that point is I'm setting the video status to be available to view with a link. So it's basically unlisted, but I'm giving the people, my invitees, I'm giving them the link as soon as they get the invite. So essentially they will know, obviously they need to learn this first, but it takes 2 seconds to understand how that part works. You will know that whenever you're getting an invite from me, most of the time, practically all the time most likely, you'll be able to immediately turn around and watch the video right then and there. Okay, you can interact with me until the date and time of the event itself, but you can actually watch the video right then and there if you want to, or at any time in between, whenever it's convenient for you. The beauty of this approach is that this immediacy is something that, kind of human nature. Movie comes out, you want to go see it now. Why? What happens if you see it in 2 weeks? What, the movie's going to get worse? No, but it's the newness of the thing. You want to see it right now. Just the usual kind of a human nature type thing. So I think it's going to be better for the viewers to know that they can go where with other Hangouts on there before, they had to go and wait for a certain date and time and make themselves available then. Now they can actually watch it immediately. And then they can watch it again if they want to, or they can watch it later. It doesn't really matter, but you eliminate this delay time. Oh, you're not going to talk about SEO till next week. It's nice to know that you're going to be talking about it. It would be nice to know now. Well, now you can actually watch it now. So that's one of the benefits of using this approach, is the immediacy, where you get your, I want to watch it now, and you watch it now. So that's that. Not everybody will be able to watch it, just the people who were invited. So there's 2 groups of people. Eventually, you usually release everything public. But in this case, it's only going to be your target audience whatever circles or whatever people you want to invite, only they will have the link, because only they can get the invite, which means the rest of the public doesn't know that this video is available to play. They don't have the URL because it's unlisted. So they won't be able to play this. Obviously, if you share it with somebody, they'll be able to see it, but that's okay. The idea behind this is let the people you care about that you're actually inviting be able to see this before everybody else, before all the crowds, if you will. So it's kind of a psychological plus there. And then, of course, after the official release date, all you do is you simply change the status to public, and then everybody can see it, and then you can promote it as public and share it and things like that. So that's another kind of element of this, which makes it kind of cool from a human perspective. And before, many times I would do Hangouts and I would set up date and time, and somebody would leave a comment more than once. I'm sorry I can't make it. I have a doctor's appointment, or I have some other engagement with somebody, commitment with somebody else, and I'll watch it later. All of those kind of comments. This basically is completely going away because they can watch it anytime. They don't need to excuse themselves. Yes, they will not be able to participate in the interactive part with me when the official event date time happens, because they're going to be gone. But they don't need to be worried about seeing it at that time, because they can see it right now. And they can then put in questions. And even if they're not going to be there when the video actually airs, I can answer those questions during the time the video airs, or even before then, or after that, whatever. So that's kind of a nice thing to be able to eliminate that. And of course, during the official date and time of the HOA, obviously the host needs to be there, which I will be there. And so then you can interact with me and ask questions and do what kind of engage that way. So that's I think it's a better way to do HOAs, by using this kind of approach. And to actually make it happen, speaking of steps in terms of what's involved, these are kind of, I just wrote these steps. You can do it a little bit different, but it gets the idea to you anyway. So the first thing we're doing is we're recording it using whatever programs we have. So you can use Hangouts, you can use Zoom. I'm recording right now using Zoom. The second thing you can do is, if you need to re-record it, you can re-record it, you can edit it. You can get it to the point where it's perfect, because remember, you haven't published anything yet, okay? Then once it's done, you publish it on YouTube as either private or unlisted. That's the important part. Do not make it public. Make it either private or unlisted, so nobody can see it. And if you make it unlisted, only people you give the link to can see it. And of course, you haven't given links to anybody yet, so nobody can see it. So at some point in time, whether right after you publish it or later, you create an event, just like you create right now. Normally create events, and then you share that event with your intended audiences, which is usually not public. So it'll be, if you want to go to public, you can. But if you don't want to, you go to certain circles or email addresses, however you invite, and then those people will actually get the link to the unlisted video, so they can immediately watch it if they wish, okay? Keep in mind that if you do not want, at that point, these people to be able to watch the video for whatever reason, then what you can do is you can leave it private, and that means even though they have the URL, they can't do anything with it. But then after you're ready to release it to them, then you simply change it to unlisted, and then they'll be able to watch it. So there's a couple of possibilities how that can be done. But typical scenario would be, you would make a video unlisted, you would share the event with just the people that you want to see it first, for whatever reason, and then they view it, and then later you reshare it as a public event video with by changing the video to be public at that point. So anyway, so once you share it as unlisted and you share the event, you would also share the URL in that event of the video, so people who get it know exactly where to watch it. Okay, then next thing that's happening is you change the status, like I said, to unlisted, so they can see it. And then during the selected date time of the event, you actually make yourself available, participate, type comments, questions, answer questions, whatever you want to put in, add additional photos if you want, or anything you want to do. And then optionally, like I said at the end, if you want to expand it to a wider audience and go to people, to publicly basically, then you simply change the video to be public, and then you can reshare the event or we share the video, however you want to do it, so everybody can watch it. So that's basically the process. You know, it's got 8 steps, but it's actually pretty straightforward. Just a couple of things you do, and that enables you to have the environment that I described earlier, where you can take the time necessary to create something that's as perfect as you want to make it. Then you advertise it to selected few who deserve to see it ahead of time. And then you, by changing these statuses and doing it in this order, they are able to see it immediately. As soon as they get notification of the event, and invitation, I should say, to the event, they can immediately watch that video, which is pretty slick. And then after that, you're able to share it with everybody, and you participate in the event itself at the date and time. And so it's not any kind of rocket science here, but at the same time, I think it's a better way to do Hangouts. And so that's, if you're watching my Hangouts, expect exactly that to be the case, and know that whenever you get the invites to my events, to PCS events, they will be done in this format, which means you'll be immediately able to go watch them, you know, at your convenience, either when you get the invite or right after that. And then if you would like to participate in the official daytime release of it, then you're able to then put in your comments and questions and have me answer them in real time. Okay, so that's the new HOA. And I do like Zoom, that's why I'm recommending it. I haven't done too much with it, but from everything I play with so far, as you can see, I have a little green screen situation going on. It's not perfect, but it's pretty nice. And let me just get out of the screen share here. There we go. And so you can see that green screen deal they have built in, which is pretty nice. And you're able to change it to whatever background you want, and don't need to have any additional apps or additional cameras or anything. Obviously, you don't have to use it, but yeah, not a bad feature. See a little blast there. There we go. And then you can also, it has a bunch of different features and capabilities. You can check it out and see. But the beauty is you can easily record both video full screen, or you can record its webcam full screen, or you can record the screen sharing full screen, or you can record both, which is something Hangouts never did, being able to have your thumbnail video going in the corner there, and having the actual presentation be going in the full screen. So all that can be done with just one program in one shot, which is very nice. So with that, I'm going to finish this, and I want to thank you for listening, and until next time, take care.